Canada is set to kick off their European friendlies in Bucharest against Romania, the 48th ranked nation in the world. Well, Canada now sits at 28. This is a very fun, a very interesting, and a very exciting test for the Canadian men's national team. Playing against a country like Romania in a continent that Canada doesn't usually get the chance to test themselves in. So this is a great opportunity for the Canadian men's national team, albeit in a friendly, to challenge themselves against a nation they don't usually get that opportunity to. And these are nations, these are teams that Canada will have to beat at the 2026 World Cup if they want to get out of their group stage. So getting results against sides like Romania are a huge boost for the 2026 World Cup, which is why I believe going into the friendly windows against Romania, against Wales, getting a result is more important than just getting a great performance. That performance will come along hand in hand with a result. But when you look at a tournament like the 2026 World Cup, a performance might not be what matters. A result is what matters. And we saw that at the last World Cup. Canada needs wins. They don't just have to look at a performance against Belgium and think, great, we played well, but we didn't win. Yes, this is a friendly against Romania, but you still have to get wins because wins will build excitement, will build the intrigue from supporters, from casuals, and get them more excited in the Canadian men's national team and build traction for this Canadian men's national team. So getting wins against Romania, yes, might not be the most sexiest of international teams, but a win for me is what's truly important in this friendly window, along with figuring out the question marks in goal, in center midfield, in striker. These are major question marks. These are positions that need to be addressed and have to be solved within this and next international window so Canada can continue to build chemistry and build towards the 2026 World Cup. But we're going to break down the lineup for the Canadian men's national team that I'm predicting, the score predictions, and the threat that Romania will possess for Canada in this matchup. For you guys, drop into the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Canada against Romania, what you guys think the score will be, what you guys predict your lineup to be, and are you more focused on the result or the performance? Make sure to smash that like button and the sub button as we move closer to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But this is a very fun matchup for the Canadian men's national team, as Romania looks to play a 4-4-2, the same style of play that Jesse Marsch likes to. They've done this in their last couple of matches in European football, but also before that, they like to go with a 4-3-3. So that is very interesting because Romania can be very versatile, they can change their formation, and they can switch on the fly. But this is a side that might look to play the same setup and the same tactical formation that Jesse Marsch will look to. So it will be very interesting to see how Jesse Marsch and this Canadian men's national team side will look to set up if Romania plays the same system that Jesse Marsch does. And if we can break down that sort of 4-4-2 block that Romania would come at Canada with, because I think we can, but I think it would be more interesting to see if Romania went with a 4-3-3. I think it's more important to see how Canada can handle a midfield 3 against our midfield 2. See how they can handle it, see how they're able to do, because yes, you might say, well, it's just Romania. Well, Romania has some good midfielders, especially at the heart of that attacking midfield. Likes of Marin, who plays with Pisa, as well as their key attacking midfielder, their number 10 in Nicholas Stanciu, who is now 32 years old, but is a very good attacking-minded midfielder who will pose a lot of threat to this Canadian men's national team at the heart of the midfield. And of course, their key threat up top is Dennis Mann, who was in the Serie A for some time and is now in the Netherlands and applies his trade with PSV Eindhoven, is still only 27 years old and is their key attacker for this Romanian side. So what I think would be more interesting is if Romania come at Canada with a 4-3-3 setup and operate that 3-man midfield against Canada's 2. And that 2 will be very interesting to see who will be in Canada's midfield and who will operate at the heart of that midfield, because that is something that's very important to address this and next window. But Canada also could easily go with a 4-3-3. It was mentioned on the Park the Bus podcast that Jesse Marsh would like to change things up, that he is fine with the 4-4-2, that he sees the 4-4-2 also being very versatile in game, with Jonathan David dropping back and other players moving around within that formation. So who knows what Jesse Marsh will go with? Does he decide to change it up to a 4-3-3? Does he decide to stick to a 4-4-2? Does he go with the 4-2-3-1? It is a very interesting question. I still believe the 4-3-3 is the best formation for this Canadian men's national team, but I personally believe he will stick with the 4-4-2. And there's some major questions in this roster that have to get addressed sooner rather than later. And let's break down this lineup because there are so many points of contention. Of course, we're going to start from the back and move our way forward. Goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, forwards. And we're going to start in goal, as I think both goalkeepers will get time, will get a match this window to prove themselves, to test themselves. As Jesse Marsh and the coaching staff has said, there is no true number one yet, and that decision they haven't made their minds on. And it's very interesting to see who Jesse Marsh will go with. I believe Maxime Crépeau will get the nod in the first game. That is who I believe is Canada's number one. That is who I believe Canada's best goalkeeper is, and who Canada should stick with in the lead up to the 2026 World Cup. But I fully expect them both to get a game. I expect Maxime Crépeau to start one, whether it's Wales, whether it's Romania. I expect Dane St. Clair to start one match, whether it's Wales, whether it's Romania. That is to be determined. But if one goalkeeper starts both games, I think that is Jesse Marsh giving a clear indication on who his 1A is and making it a 1A, 2A situation. But also we got to remember Hibbert is on this roster. Jaden Hibbert is now an option for this Canadian men's national team. He is only 21 years old. He is 7 years younger than Dane St. Clair. He poses a different option to what Canada already has. He is coming off some very good starts with Atlanta United in the MLS. He could potentially work his way into this Canadian men's national team starting lineup for next year's World Cup. No one's a lock and goal. That spot is wide open. So who knows what's going to happen there. But Jaden Hibbert is the only Canadian goalkeeper on good form, having a starting role, and playing well for his club. While Dane St. Clair is looking for a new contract, and Maxime Crépeau is the number two behind James Pantemis. It's a major question and a major point of concern for the Canadian men's national team. But I think Maxime Crépeau will get the nod in the first match against Romania. It's time to look at the back four. As I'm going to go from left back to right back, it's Richie Laryea getting the nod at left back, Derek Cornelius at left centre back, Luc de Fougerolles at right centre back, and Nico Sigor at right back. Of course, no Alphonso Davies, no Sam Adekubi. Richie Laryea for me is the number two left back in any scenario, and I think Zorhan Bassong, his quality showed that he should be starting, that he deserves more minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the opportunity this window or gets some minutes off the bench. But Richie Laryea is the number two. He has played well when given the opportunity. He is a leader. He has experience. And Richie Laryea, for me, will get the nod at left back to back up Alphonso Davies as his number two, and has truly won that left back role for me behind Alphonso Davies. Looking at the other full back role for Nico Sigurd, it just seemed like the obvious position now for Nico Sigurd right now. Of course, he can play at the heart of midfield as well, but with no Alistair Johnson there, Nico Sigurd seems to be the backup behind AJ, especially if Richie Laryea slides over and covers at left back. And for me, we might be missing three of our starters, but this is still a very exciting back four. This is still a very strong back four. Of course, Derek Cornelius being a starter, Luc de Fougerolles being in the running to become a number two center back next to Moise Bombito. This is a big window for both center backs. They need to prove it to themselves. They need to prove it to Jesse Marsh, who deserves that spot next to Moise Bombito. But moving on to the midfield, this is a point of contention, and this is very interesting. Tajon Buchanan's a lock at right midfield. Right center midfield is Nathan Saliba. Left center midfield, Stefan Eustachio, and left mid is Jaden Nelson. Tajon Buchanan is a lock. There is no question Tajon Buchanan will start for this Canadian men's national team at right midfield. At right center midfield, I think is very interesting. You got Nathan Saliba, and for me, that is the biggest point of contention within this Canadian men's national team roster, outside of goalkeeper and the second striker. Stefan Stakio is, of course, a lock within this Canadian men's national team, and Jaden Nelson will get the start as Jacob Schaffelberg has to serve his one-game suspension due to a red card. But that heart of the midfield, when you look at watch football, football is won and lost at the heart of the midfield. The games are decided on who can control a midfield. When momentum swings, what midfield can lock it down and hold possession and calm it down at a point of worry. And I think solving this midfield is the biggest question within this Canadian men's national team, and arguably the most important one. Stefan Stakio is a lock, and he is a fantastic midfielder and give this Canadian men's national team another level up. But for me, with how good Nathan Saliba has played for Anderlecht in Belgium, his quality both going forward and defensively, I think he makes sense to partner Stefan Stakio in the two, and Ismail Kone, of course, is a great option next to Stakio, depending on the game script and depending what is going on within the match. But up front, moving at the two strikers, another point of contention, of course, it's Jonathan David, but I have Tani Oluwase. I think this is very exciting because Tani can play in multiple different systems, multiple different styles of play, and multiple formations. Tony has the ability to be able to play over top, to be able to run onto the ball, to be able to hold it up, to be able to lay it off Jonathan David, to be able to score in multiple different ways, whether it's with his head, whether it's with his left foot, his right foot, out of the box, in the box. His finishing is very good and has only improved this season with Minnesota United, which was another reason why he left to La Liga side and joining his partner in crime in Tajon Buchanan at the Yellow Submarines in Villarreal. So for me, Tani Oluwase is going to continue his momentum. I think he's just going to carry that on into the starting lineup of the Canadian men's national team. But I do expect him to split starts with Promise David. And if he doesn't, that might be a bit of a statement from Jesse Marsh on who his number 2 striker is. But we still have to remember at the same time, Promise David's coming back from an injury to start his Union Saint-Gilloise season, but he also still has 2 goals to start the year. Promise David's had a very good year, albeit having a little setback. So it could be a bit of a signal, it could be a bit of a statement to see who starts up at top next to Jonathan David, but I still believe it will be Tani Oluwase, and I still think, even after that window, this position is up for debate and up for battle. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Is this a win? Is this a must-win game for Canada? Yes, it's not a must-win. Yes, it's still a friendly. But how important is the result to you guys over the performance? Because yes, the performance does come along with the win, but we also have to remember at the same time, Canada had a very good performance against Belgium at the World Cup. What happened? We didn't win. Yes, we're comparing a World Cup with friendlies. I understand that. But we have to remember Canada doesn't have competitive matches coming up. Canada has friendlies. That is how we have to take them. We have to look at these very seriously. We have to take these with a pinch of salt. We don't have the opportunity to play World Cup qualifiers. We don't have a Gold Cup. We don't have a Nations League. These have to be Canada's opportunities to go all out, to win, to build chemistry, to build traction within the nation. If Canada beats Romania, goes on, beats Wales, continues at the next window, picks up another win, traction, excitement, positivity is going to build up within the fan base as well as the country and get casuals and other supporters on board. Guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments for Canada against Romania. If you stayed this long, I truly appreciate it. Let me know down below in the comments your thoughts on Canada against Romania, your predicted lineups, your score prediction, because mine's going to be 3-1 Canada. Make sure to smash that like button, guys. Hit that sub button. Truly appreciate the support on the channel. The community we are building here, absolutely incredible, and I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys all for the next one. Peace.